Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm Dr. Muskan and I'm an MBBS graduate from Kasturba Medical College, Bangalore. Also find me on Instagram by the username of Medico Diary. For those of you who do not know, I gave my PLAB Step 1 on February 17, 2022 while I was an intern in the OBG department, which was extremely hectic. So in this video, I will be talking about my strategy, my timeline, the resources I used to crack PLAB 1 in the first attempt while I was interning in the OBG department. So let's go. So coming to the first thing, what exactly is PLAB? Right. So a lot of you have asked this question. PLAB, or the Professional Linguistic Assessment Board Test, is basically an exam that tests your ability to apply your knowledge and take care of the patient. So a lot of people have asked that will this give you a PG in the UK, which is like equivalent to NEET PG, which we have in India? So the answer is no. PLAB is just an exam which is going to give you registration with the GMC, the General Medical Council of the UK, which will allow you to practice in the UK. It does not give you a postgraduate degree. It does not give you, it's not an exam to enter a postgrad training. It's just an exam to get the UK registration to be able to practice there. And why do we have to give the PLAB exam? It's because the GMC wants to make sure that the doctors who are coming abroad are qualified and have the right knowledge and the skills to practice medicine in the UK. So, coming to the PLAB exam, PLAB has two parts. One is your PLAB 1, which is MCQ based, and the second is your PLAB 2, which is an OSCE exam. PLAB 1 is held all over the world and it is held 4 times in a year, which is Feb, May, August, and November. Whereas PLAB 2 is held almost every month, and there are a lot of dates available for PLAB 2. So it's actually not difficult to get a seat for PLAB 2. So coming back to PLAB 1. PLAB 1, like I said, it's an MCQ based exam where you have 5 options and it's you have to choose the one option which you think is the most appropriate one. You have 180 questions which you have to complete in 3 hours. So you can book your PLAB 1 exam after you have met the criteria of the GMC. That is, you have finished your primary medical education or qualification. That is, for Indians, your final year, and you're probably in your internship right now. And you have given your English proficiency exam, and it's met within the GMC criteria. So for your English proficiency, you can either give OET, which is medical based, and apparently a lot of people are actually going for OET because the writing section and the speaking section, they're all medical scenarios. So it's easier for people to give that exam. The second is IELTS, as you all know about it. So for OET, you have to get a bandwidth of B in all the sections, that is your speaking, writing, listening, and reading. As for IELTS, you have to get an overall of 7.5 with 7 in each of these. So the thing with PLAB seats are that you can only see the available seats on the GMC portal, and you will be able to see that on the GMC portal only when your English exam is verified. So even if you just want to see the available seats and you haven't passed your English exam or haven't given it till then, you won't be able to see it. So you only can view your available seats after you have gotten your English exam verified by the GMC. The issue with PLAB seats are that they go in seconds. So currently for 2022, seats were released somewhere in October, as far as I remember. And the seats for Feb, May, and I think half of August were booked in probably 2 to 5 seconds of them releasing the seats. Mostly the November seats were the only one available after that. So you have to be extremely quick to book this seat, and it really depends on your luck also. For 2023, recently they announced that for your May, August, 2023 seats, these seats would be released on 25th June 2022, and you have to get your English exam verified by the GMC by 21st June 2022. So everyone who wants to give PLAB 1 in 2023, please make sure that you get your English exam verified by 21st so that you're able to book your 2023 seat on 25th June. Coming to the resources that I used for my PLAB 1 exam. One of the major resource that I used was Plabable. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions regarding Plabable. A lot of you have already messaged me on my Instagram account asking me if Plabable is enough and if they should go for another question bank like MedRevision, Past Medicine. There are like so many question banks out there. My advice to you would be please do not go around doing multiple question banks. Stick to one. Even if you're sticking to past medicine, if you're sticking to med revision, you're sticking to any question bank, please stick to one question bank. I chose Plabable because a lot of seniors had suggested me Plabable. Okay, so Plabable has a lot. Like it has your normal Q bank. It has something called GEMS, which is like flashcard feature. So it was easier for me to study and recall. It also has your normal mocks. So the mocks that Plabble will offer, they're basically a jumbled up questions, 180 questions from your Q bank. So the Q bank almost has like 2,500 questions, which they keep on revising and they keep on adding new questions depending on, the guideline change or if something new comes up. So they basically jumble up all those questions and they make a mock out of it. So it's really good for revision. And they have something else called as a revision guide. So you can like type a keyword and you will get like some information on it. So it's like instead of, opening some book, going back to your MBBS notes or anything, you will get the latest guidelines, which, is like the NICE guidelines, which is being followed in the UK. You will get all the information which is updated. And according to the UK medical system, which is something I loved because I actually compared a lot of things with some other Q banks, and I realized that Plavable was the only one which was, following NICE guidelines like to the closest. And in the end, it all depends on following NICE guidelines because that's what GMC is looking for. So that is also one of the reasons I chose to stick to Plavable. With this, Plavable also offers something called a big mock, which is really like I would really recommend it to anyone who's giving PLAB 1, especially like you should give the big mock right before your exam, probably like 3-4 days before your main exam, because big mock is it has 180 questions which are not there in their Q bank, so they're like new questions, and their score is probably the closest what you're going to get in your PLAB exam. So if someone asks me, what is like the closest score I can get or like the closest exam which is there to the real PLAB exam, I would say that is the big mark of PLABable. And yeah, I would really recommend that to anyone who's giving PLAB. The other resource which I used was PLAB Keys. I chose PLAB Keys because they had jumbled up questions, so it was not like I was memorizing any information. It was just like I was going through PLAB keys and it was just refreshing my memory. And whatever was important, I used to write down in my other notebook and make sure I used to revise it again. Plus, PLAB keys gave a lot of clinchers, which are really important in PLAB exam. So, suppose like your Meniere's disease. So, for that, like, it's just known that you will have DVT in Meniere's. What is DVT? Not that DVT which you guys are thinking, which is dead in surgery. DVT is dizziness, vertigo, and tinnitus. So if there's any question which has these three symptoms, it has to be Meniere's. So Plakis actually gave me a lot of insight and gave me like these clinchers, which made it very easy to diagnose and come to a conclusion in the exam. And because PLAB is not like a direct exam, they're not going to just directly ask you a diagnosis. So in PLAB, you'll get this long question, one clinical scenario where they might give you some symptoms and they would just ask for diagnosis or some side effect of some drug which that person would be using. So from the symptoms, you would have to first figure out the diagnosis, and from that diagnosis, you would have to figure out what is the drug of choice, and then just connect the dots and tell the side effects. So PLAB 1 is not that straightforward. It's all clinical. So you cannot mug up anything, you should understand. So in all that, clinchers play a really important part. Clinchers help me a lot to come to a diagnosis and to understand and to save time and identify what exactly is the question asking for. Now that we've discussed what the basics of PLAB are and my resources that I used during my PLAB 1 prep, let's discuss my timeline. So approximately, I think GMC had released PLAB 1 seats for 2022 in October 2021. I think it was approximately 21st. I'm not sure. So October 2021, PLAB 1 seats were released, and I had booked my exam for 17th Feb 2022. So yeah, till October 24th, I was in surgery department, and from 25th of October to I think it was 23rd December, I had my chill postings. That counts as I had psych, ENT, which was not so chill because COVID time, and I have ophthal, and I had taken radio. So 2 months here, and from 24th December onwards, 2021, I had OBG postings. Yeah. So I had approximately 1 month, 20 days-ish in OBG till I had my exam. That was 17th Feb. So if you do the math, I had 2 months of chill postings and 1 month, 1.5 months if I just take it as that in OBG. So approximately, I think, yeah, I had like 3.5 months to prepare, and I did not start studying before I booked my seat. So everything started from 25th October 2021. So I still remember my timeline. So for my chill postings, I had started with first 15 days of psych, then 15 days of ophthal, then ENT, then radio. So in the first 15 days of psych, I had planned to do some major subjects which had a lot of weightage. That was like OBG, psych itself, and medicine. And my strategy was to complete Plabbable and Plab keys once till my chill postings. So I plan to do Plabbable and Plab keys once in the first 2 months that I had of my prep. After that, after doing it for the first time, I gave my first mock. That was just Plabbable mock, which was just like I had mentioned, a jumbled up questions from their Q bank. And obviously, I had forgotten a lot of stuff, so it's not like I remembered everything. And even I was very anxious, and I was like, maybe I was doubting myself if I did the right thing booking the Feb exam because I was just determined to do everything in those 2 months of my chill postings. 15 days of ENT weren't that chill, but I actually wanted to do everything. Approximately, I think 70% of my prep I wanted to finish off that time because I was dead sure that during OBG I would not be able to give in time. We had 18-hour shift, we had 24-hour shift, we had 48-hour shift, and we had like night duties at least 2 to 3 times a week. And it is not like after night duty we could go home. We had to stay the next day till evening. So it had to be like a 36-hour shift. Then we used to have double OPDs and OPT days and OTs. And if you're an intern and you're working in a government hospital, you would know how difficult it is. So I was generally very scared to study during OBG. So I wanted to finish off around 80% of my syllabus before my OBG started. How much did I cover? I think I can say 60%. 60 to 70% I covered before my OBG started. I had a really tight schedule. Even during the chill times, I made a schedule for myself and I managed to finish Plabble and Plab keys first read. 10 days before my OBG was going to start, around 11th December, whatever syllabus I had done and whatever I could recall, I decided to give my first mock. And I still remember I had scored 124. And I was a little disappointed, but I was like, okay, I know what I have to work on. And I started working on my weaknesses, subjects in which I didn't score well, subjects or topics which I thought I had understood, but I couldn't apply that while solving a question. So I started tracking my progress, and you could see on the screen, I made a line graph and I started plotting all my marks from 11th December to 21st December. I gave around 10 mocks of Plabbable. And obviously, there were times I had scored low, there were times I had scored better than the day before, and that was like my second revision. Because, like I said, Plabbable mocks are just a mix up of your Q bank. So, my first revision or my first time of doing Plabbable and Plab keys was during my chill postings, the so-called chill postings, psych, ENT, and all. So I would say November and December. My second revision, or the second time doing it, the first revision, whatever you call it, uh, was December starting when I gave mocks. So the first time you do it is you do all the Q bank, finish off the plabbable Q bank, read up PLAB keys. They're plabbable. When I say plabbable, you do like everything. You do gems, you do their Q bank, you flip through their revision guide. Then you come up to your second time where you're doing plabbable for the second time, where you use their mocks. So they keep on changing their mocks. I think that time they had around 15 mocks. But I choose to give only 10 because, yeah, the 10th mock I gave on 21st December. And then I was just preparing myself mentally for OBG to start because I was extremely scared. And I was just making a schedule as to how I have to work and how I have to study while I am working those long shifts. So after that, I did not give any plabbable mock. So December and Jan, you could say, when my OBGYN postings had started, I had my LT around mid-Jan. So mid-Jan to Feb, those 15 days, I did not do anything. Like, I generally couldn't. LTs were just so busy, and I just had to come back and sleep. Max to max, I would just flip through plabbable gems. So that was a time I could not do anything. So Jan starting was 1st to 15th-ish. I had some time where I started, I renewed my plabbable subscription. So I paid them whatever amount was required. I do not remember that, but I paid. I cleared all my previous MCQs, the answers, and I started afresh. And I probably did all the major subjects MCQs. So I think, yeah, I did OBG all over again. I did psych, I did medicine, I did surgery because I was not very confident because even in MBBS, surgery was not my strong point. So I did these, and I used to study whenever I could. And there were obviously times I was burnt out, and there were times I need to take a break. So that times I used to go out. But I made sure I used to finish the day's portion. So I'm a person who plans out everything. So I would plan out my day the night before. So the next day I would not crack my head on what to do, when to do. I would just follow my schedule. So during my prep phase of this 3.5 months, morning, I was a morning person that time. So I would prefer to wake up around 4 a.m. 4 to 4:30, I would just freshen up, have like a basic normal routine, meditate, and make myself a cup of coffee. And from 4:30 to 6, I used to study. From 6 to 7, I used to go to the gym because that was very therapeutic. Gym really helped me during my prep phase, and it used to keep me sane. So after gym, I would just come up and get ready and go for work. But before that, I was actually doing one data collection for my audit. So from 7:30 to 8:10, I would be in another hospital doing audit data collection. And 8:15, I would have to report to my hospital for duty, be it anything, psych, OBG, or like whatever. It was around 8:15 to 9. A lot of times, like maybe I think off that we had to report around 9, but OBG we had to report by 8. There were times we had to report by 7:15. So That times I used to just cut down audit data collection or do my data collection in the evening. And I would mostly just um, on normal days, like the first 2 months of my chill postings, I would come back by 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And the days I did not have night duties because we also had night duties during psych and we were on calls during that time. Same for ENT. So I don't think it's justified to call them chill, but yeah, they were relatively easier or chiller compared to OBG. So most of the days were like this. I would come back by 6, 7, 8, whatever. And if I just take it at 8 also, 8 to 9, I would just chill. And I would catch up with my roommate. And 9 to 10, I would study again. Then 10 to 10:15, take a break, talk to my parents. And then 10:15 to 12, I would study again. So essentially, if you can see, I would sleep from 12 to 4. So that is why I was very burnt out. And I was sleep deprived during my prep phase, and I just did not have a lot of time that time. I had a lot of things to do, and I somehow wanted to fit in everything, which I would not recommend to people now. Looking back, I know I think I could have just done something differently, but yeah, this is what I did, and this was my schedule for my prep phase for the 3.5 months of my study.
So for tracking progress, this is how I used to track all my plabbable marks. There were days I scored high, there were days I scored low, but all that mattered was what I learned from that.
So I know it's very, very disheartening to not get a good score. I've been there. I'm not gonna lie. I used to get super triggered when my friend used to be like, "Oh, my highest was like 178," and I was like, "What? Like what? That's just insane." But yeah, that person passed. I passed. PLAB is all about passing. It doesn't matter how much you score. I don't think I even checked my score. I saw it's a pass, and that's it. So learn from your mistakes. Do not, please do not compare your scores with anyone. It's just going to divert you from your path. Was super proud when I passed, and I was extremely happy that, I made my parents proud. I passed. I um, thought ahead and I planned everything on time so that I give my PLAB 1 in Feb. Somehow I get a date of PLAB 2 between September or October. And I planned out everything because that's just the kind of person I am. But the kind of pressure I put on myself was insane. And that is probably the only regret I have. I put myself under so much pressure that I just had to do everything. I had to go to the gym in the morning. I had to do data collection for my audit. I had to study after coming back from work. So, in the end, in my attempt to do everything, I compromised on my sleep, ended up sleeping 3 to 4 hours every day, which made me super irritated. And I'm so, so, so grateful to all my ingoing tones um, because they managed everything and I was not able to help much. And I'm truly very grateful for them. So, yeah, I compromised on a lot of things. I did not used to go out, and I missed out on a couple of things with my friends, with my close friends, and I put myself under a lot of pressure, which affected my mental health a lot. And looking back, that is my only regret. That what if I hadn't put that much pressure on myself? What if I just took it slow? I don't have an answer to that. I don't know what would have happened if I took it slow because I didn't take it slow. So, to anyone who is pressurizing themselves a lot for an exam, for any exam, just I'm just saying this with experience. Please take it slow. It's not worth it. Your mental health is much, 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 much more important than any exam. You can be a doctor at 23, 24, 25. You can be a specialist by 28 also. Age is just a number. It's not going to be worth it if you're sad and your mental health is a mess. So, yeah, I think that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video all about my experience of Lab 1, and I am going to continue to make more videos and update you guys about my journey to becoming a doctor in the NHS. Till then, please subscribe and like this video. Thank you.